Welcome back to On the Warpath. It's Sanchez 405. If you do, make sure you click that subscribe button. Hit the bell so you get notifications anytime there's new content posted. And as always, like, comment, and share this video out because we talk Washington football team all the time, but we have special guests on here a lot of times. And I bring in a guy that I watched growing up. The man, I like to call him Dr. Lou Holder, but Lou Holder grew up watching him on Channel 5. Then you were over there at NBC. Well, it was Comcast then, SportsNet. And it's a pleasure to have you on here and to connect with you for the second time. How you doing, Lou?
I'm good, man. You made me feel old saying you watched him when you were growing up, man. I feel kind of old. But it also means, hey, listen, it also means that I've been doing things the right way. If you can remember me when I was a few years ago and you were watching me and you still are a fan of my work, so I appreciate that. And people who've come up to me, I've now heard that multiple times, people saying, I grew up watching you. And that's a blessing. That's a blessing.
Yes.
I really am thankful that people grew up. Part of their, sports journey was watching Lou Holder on television. And I appreciate that. And I don't take that lightly. So I thank you for that. And I hope I did you proud. I hope I did you proud.
Always. I think that you should be getting some kudos from like Scott Hansen and Sage Steele and all those people that left and went on, and Feldman too, who went on to bigger things. But just talk about your journey to getting this point. How did you get into the market? How did you get into the business and everything? Just set that up and tell the folks at home what your journey's been to this point.
So I thank you for that. So my journey has been one full of faith. I'm a man of God, and I truly believe that my steps have been ordered throughout. So, I went to Rutgers University, played soccer at Rutgers University, and came out of Rutgers with a degree in communications, thinking that I wanted to, just do something in sports, but there was nothing open. So I worked in corporate America for a few years. And then I said, I hate this. I got to get back into sports. So my wife had encouraged me to go back and get my master's degree. So I went back to get my master's degree from Temple University in sports management. And there I was starting to figure out what I wanted to do. I really wanted to be a PR director for my favorite basketball team, the Philadelphia 76ers. But along the way, I saw this stuff on television, and, I asked my wife, and I asked some people, I was like, you think I could do this? My wife said, yes, you can really do it. She really encouraged me. So I said, you know what, let me just try it. So they had a show there, a student-run television program called Temple Update. Okay. And so that's where I learned how to be on television. Me and the gentleman that a lot of people know very well, Kevin Nagandi, who is now on ESPN. Yeah. We went to school together. And we were on the same desk. I was doing news. He was doing sports. And then he went on and got some jobs, and I went on as well. But we still keep in touch to this day. Good. Have a lot of people that I met in my journey at Temple University. I was in a sports anchor in Atlantic City for a couple of years. Went to Connecticut for a couple of years at the NBC affiliate in Connecticut, covered the UConn basketball. And I was blessed to cover some national championships with the UConn women. I saw some great golf, saw some Subway Series, and because you're right in between New York and Boston, and things of that nature. So, and then I got the call to come down here, and I came down here in 2002. Steve Spurrier's first year, and I don't know if you remember that Patrick Ramsey. Patrick Ramsey had the nerve to hold out.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's when the sniper attacks started. I don't know if you remember those.
I do.
That was my first year, my first couple of weeks on the job. We get here, and then there's people shooting at each other and all kind of stuff. I was like, Lord, my wife was like, well, we just got here. And but I've been here ever since. I've been here ever since with Fox 5, and as you mentioned, a number of TV spots and radio spots along the way. But I've just been blessed. I've just been blessed. I love telling stories, and I love this area. It's so rich with stories, and good and bad. Good and bad. I've had my good. Obviously, we know the bad with Sean Taylor and things of that nature, but I've covered the highs and the lows. The Caps winning the Stanley Cup, and the Nats winning a World Series, and it's been a little bit of everything. It's every now and then it kind of reminds me why I got into the business, because every time I go into a stadium, every time I go into an arena, every time I go somewhere, I could be seeing history. I could be seeing something magical. I could be seeing something great. And I love just being in the atmosphere of an arena, of a stadium. I just love it. I just love it because people cheering, people booing, people hearing stuff. I mean, it's all part of an escape route for people. But telling the stories are what people remember. And like I said, I'm glad that you thought it not robbery to turn on the television and watch me and let me deliver sports to you. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we've been blessed by your presence. I've told people that you and I, we've been talking about doing this for a while, but I told my mom, and I said, Mom, I said, I'm getting ready to do, I'm going to have Lou Holder on. She's like, they wasn't here at Channel 5. I said, yeah, Mom. But you talk
Shout
about
out to your mom, man. Tell your moms I said, what's up?
I will. I definitely will. It was her birthday yesterday, so she's still feeling young and spry. So we're gonna
Happy
celebrate.
birthday, Mom. Happy birthday.
Yes, indeed. You talk about just the mess. I remember Spurrier, your first year here, Shane Matthews starting against the Arizona Cardinals, winning 31-23. I was at that game. That was actually my first game. They did not win another game I went to until this Thursday night game against the Giants a few months ago. So it's been a lot of ebbs and flows and everything with this team, and none other than in recent memory that the COVID bug that has hit this team after being so clean and so responsible last year. It seems like the times have caught up with them, and the league has came out with some rules actually today within the last 2-3 hours that they're going to say you only need one negative test if you're a vaccinated player and you're asymptomatic. Just talk about what the last the last 3 days of covering this team has been like in this COVID situation.
It's not just the team court. I mean, it's league wide, it's sports wide. I mean, the NHL is shutting down games, the NBA. This thing is real. This thing is real. So, I really didn't care for how Aaron Rodgers was so flippant about it. And I think he even quoted Martin Luther King in some of his comments. And I'm just like, people got to be realized, the pandemic isn't saying, you know what? Oh, you all are tired. I think we're going to stop. It doesn't say that. So I don't know why people aren't getting vaccinated. It just seems to me that you do so many other things. You turn your clocks back and forth twice a year. You hate it, but you do it. You do certain things just because it's you need to. And if you don't care about yourself, care about the other people around you. I mean, this isn't like something where people can, there's a cure for it. I mean, people are dying daily. And for athletes, I mean, if I have to go to a place that requires a suit and a tie, Corey, I'm going to wear a suit and a tie. I mean, it makes no sense to me. If you are required to wear a helmet, you wear a helmet, right? If you're required to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. Why is everything now, oh, it's my body and I don't know how it works and stuff like that? I mean, I think people are just coming up with so many excuses about getting the shot. But it's sad now because now this team is already depleted because of injuries. Now they might not have people even playing. So who knows? When I walk into Lincoln Financial Field on Sunday, who knows who's going to be on the field? It's really going to be a race to the finish line, because I don't know how these last 4 games are gonna play out.
Yeah, and you know,
health-wise.
Right, exactly. To heck with it being this 5-game gauntlet in the NFC. Can you actually field the team to actually play it? 21 players. I mean, and I was just like, where in the world did all this come from all of a sudden? Yeah. And you know, there are theories and there are rumors, and I mean, the world is built on pointing fingers. I'm not going to point fingers at anybody, because it's just like, we know what you know what you have to do. You're an adult, you're professional, and like you said, hey, you need to take care of not just yourself, but everybody else around you there. And I appreciate you calling it for what it is. I've heard the jab and everything. It's a shot. Take it.
I mean, your head coach is a cancer survivor.
Thank you.
Your head coach is a cancer survivor. If you don't care for anybody, at least care for the man who's coaching you. And the fact of the matter is, your head coach is a cancer survivor. Wouldn't you want to be cautious around him?
Yeah.
Your teammate. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
No,
not to be vaccinated. Now, people who are getting COVID and they are vaccinated. I mean, it's just this virus and this pandemic. It's hard to figure out. But if you're at least you're vaccinated, you have a better shot of not dying,
right?
Than you do if you're unvaccinated, saying, you know what, I don't think I need to. I'm good.
Yeah,
you're gonna be good in a box,
right? Sitting clean in the box. I mean, that's your choice right there for the most part.
Yep. At your funeral, we're gonna put a big thing on you. Be like, I'm good.
That'll be the quote on the tombstone. I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hasn't been good around there. And you know, Ron in the summertime, he was he's very upset on how the vaccination numbers were going. It seems like the team had bumped him up and everything. And now, in a year where you have a coach that's focused on playing, is coaching football, but they have to worry about everything else: sexual scandals, COVID, fans from other teams invading your home territory, and you're trying to win games here. Is this like, I take COVID out of this, is this like the weirdest, I guess, wackiest year that you have seen out of this team? They were 2-6, come back 6-6, now 6-7, and they've had to deal with everything else. It seems like other noise, but they always seem to swing back in such a wacky year. I've seen where teams in the past here in Washington would have folded up and said, "Hey, we're going to the house. We're done."
Yeah, I my whole time covering this team has just been one odyssey after another. You know, so it's like I'm kind of numb to it. Because we've had so many things that have gone on with this team, this ownership group, things of that nature. So at this point, you know, you really are numb to it. But it does remind me of a couple of years under Gibbs, where the team went on a tremendous run at the end to get into the playoffs. I remember, I think it was Joe Gibbs' second year here.
Yeah, 2005. Yep.
Yeah, they won in St. Louis. They had to go to Arizona. Then they came home. I think they had to play either Dallas, and they just went on this ridiculous run to make it into the playoffs. But that team had a healthy Clinton Portis, had a beast in Sean Taylor, had Santana Moss, and had a lot of parts, right? This team, we don't even know who's going to be playing.
Right.
So, you know, they have that adage where when somebody dies, they say that the person succumbed to their injuries. I mean, this season, I think they're going to succumb not only to their injuries, but to all this COVID stuff. This is just a lot. But I will say this. I have so much respect for Ron Rivera and all the stuff that you just mentioned that he has to do and still coach. It's just amazing to me, how he's still able to keep this team focused and relevant and, competitive. Competitive. Your owner is doing crazy stuff. You don't have a name for the team. Your stadium is leaking. We already know that people come in from other areas to buy tickets to these games. I mean, that's just how it is at FedEx Field. But I mean, this team had a lot of good teams come in here. I mean, you had Kansas City, you had Tampa Bay, you had to go to Green Bay. You have Dallas, you have Seattle. I mean, this team had a gauntlet. But they're just going to succumb to their injuries. This is a lot. It's a lot to overcome. We're all going to be there for the ride, but you can't put an asterisk next to the season. But man, there's a lot that's been going on.
They always say coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Those are all excuses. Those are all excuses. They had,
Yep.
I was on Travis's show, and I said, the whole adage that says it's not how you finish and it's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's a bunch of BS. It is how you start, because if this team started that game, and if this started this season a little bit more with urgency and polish,
we wouldn't be worrying about it as much.
We wouldn't be having to run the table to get into a playoff spot. I mean, how bad do you want that Justin Herbert and that LA game? That's a game they could have won. That game in Denver, please, are you serious? That New Orleans game. Those are 3 games that I said there, I saw with my own eyes that they were better than the team that they played.
Yep.
They were better than the team that they were played. And now you were looking at 3 more wins, and then you have a buffer. But now there is no buffer. You have 4 games. 3 of them are on the road in a division that is still so cutthroat that you don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a tough road. It's going to be a tough road.
Yeah, and I'll add, even in that Green Bay game was winnable if you actually had some competency in the red zone. How many trips did they have in the red zone where it was like, it was like 4 and they came away with like 3 points? It makes no sense there. But we know that you are a big fan of the quarterback, number 4, and talk about his development.
You've been talking to Paulie too long.
We know that you're a big Heineke. You're a Heineke.
Listen,
just like
here's my deal. Here's my deal. I think Taylor Heineke is a great story. I think he has everything that people are talking about. His moxie and things of that nature. He is limited throwing the ball down the field. I do think that he's the quarterback for right now for this team. All I have said on Travis's show and everywhere is that I don't think in Ron Rivera's eyes that Taylor Heineke is the long-term fit for this team, right? The quarterback is such a premium in this league, and you need somebody who's going to be able to win those games that on last Sunday when things are going wrong or whatever. I just felt that there was if people love Taylor Heineke so much, how come so many people were clamoring to see more of Kyle Allen on Sunday?
So I'll take this from a fan perspective, right? Yeah. We have been so depressed at quarterback for so long that we fall in love with Jags, and not what grandma watches during the daytime, but actually just the guy, right? We've tried to build up Mike Shanahan tried to sell John Beck to us and Rex Grossman. They tried to sell Mark Sanchez. Shout out to my cousin Mark. Not really, but and Josh Johnson. They tried to sell all these guys, and we've had people that are like, well, these guys are good. I saw their college. Heck, Jordan Teamu, who was just signed as the emergency quarterback, started in front of Heineke with the St. Louis Battlehawks. So I think we fall in, and this is not a shot at Taylor, because it's taken me a while to get on the Taylor train, and I think you need to ride the 4 car as long as he'll take you there. I think we're so depressed. We saw high numbers from Kirk Cousins, right? And we saw that RG3 magical season, which we know Lou Holder's going to get a signed autograph book from Surviving Washington as well too. And we just had the quarterback of my dreams was Brad Johnson, was number 14. It just seems like there has not been a guy who he just did in that 99 season, right before you came here. He just did everything that they needed them to do. And I think they had good weapons. They had a good running game with Stephen Davis back there, had Albert Connell, had Michael Westbrook. These guys were doing that thing, but I need somebody like that as my quarterback. And I think we just fall in love with it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just think the sad thing for us is that the team did actually try.
Right.
They did try, and they tried with two African-American quarterbacks, which is frustrating because they both were supposed to be these game changers. They both were supposed to be Mike Vick, Randall Cunningham. They both were supposed to be, or at least the first one. He gave up all these draft picks to get him, and it didn't work out, right? Dwayne Haskins had the success he would have had, he could have owned this city. Went to Bullis. He basically started crying that the league done messed up and he shouldn't even have dropped to wherever he did. And he doesn't work out, right? But all along, there's African-American quarterbacks working out all over this league. Russell Wilson, it just goes on and on about how many Hurts. There's so many African-American, the one in Arizona, Murray. There's so many success stories. The frustrating thing is, why couldn't it work out for us? But it has been an oasis for a long, long time at that quarterback position. You mentioned a couple, man. There was so many more. Jason Campbell.
Oh, yes, that's my
Todd
guy.
Collins. You mentioned Warfel, but there were a couple others that Steve Spurrier fell in love with.
Shane Matthews,
Danny Werfel. It just went on and on and on. But it's you still got to keep swinging at that piñata, Corey. You got to keep swinging at that piñata. If this kid from Ole Miss, Corral or whatever, if he's going to be it, cool. I do think it's not all Taylor Heineke's fault, though. I blame Scott Turner a lot. I don't think he's putting him in positions where Taylor can be actually successful for the entire game. We're in the press box really scratching our head why Turner abandons the run or doesn't do certain things, doesn't roll him out more. He wants to be Taylor wants to be so much like his idol Brett Favre, but that gunslinger thing is not going to work. It's not going to work. There's only one Brett Favre. There's only one four. There's only one real four.
Thank you.
So he's got to stop playing like Brett Favre, and the coordinator has got to do a better job of putting him in positions to be successful. He's going to have to do it up in Philly. He's definitely going to have to do it up in Philly because that is a winnable game. You can't you can't tell me, even with all the things that we have going on, it's not like they got Mike Vick and Jeremy Maclin and Deshaun Jackson and Shady McCoy. They don't have all those people. They don't have any of those people.
Right.
So Minshew, come on. Hurts, who's still trying to figure things out. This is a winnable game. But again, I said this on Travis's show, and I've said this to you as well. It's not just the head coach; it's the coordinators that I'm looking at. What is is Del Rio going to actually start using Collins correctly for more than one game at a time? Right? Is Turner going to run the ball? That 4-game winning streak that they had, they were running the ball successfully. I don't know what happened last Sunday, but they just abandoned the run and just started throwing it down the field. And every time there's one classic play that he was Taylor Heineke was rolling out, and he shooed the wide receiver down the field to say, "Go further, I'm going to heave it," and he didn't even get that far.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got that arm that's just. And Scott, they've been married at the hip for years. Like he's been with him in Minnesota. He's been with him in Carolina, here in Washington. I think he wants it to work, and I just think that Scott sometimes. I think he thinks he's smarter than what he actually is, and I just say, just go out there, run an ugly football. Just do ugly football because it wins. It's the same problem. See, and I always say this. People have a problem in this town. They want to win sex. They rather win sexy and lose sexy instead of winning ugly. It was the same thing with Alex Smith back in 2018. Oh God, the message boards, Lou, they were crazy. They're like, well, he's not throwing for 300 some yards. I'm like, we're 6-3. When's the last time you were 6-3? I don't care if he throws 300 yards. I care if he wins games. Don't give me the stats will come when we need it. It's okay if we play dink and duck to win. You might lose some games, but if you got a competent leader and a competent arm, you're going to be okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this town more than any should understand with the Hogs and the big uglies up front that this game is still won in the trenches. You can have all, like you said, all the sexy toys that you could ever want, but if you cannot run the football and you cannot protect your quarterback, game over. It's done. So this offensive line, when they were running the ball, offensive lines love when you run the ball. They don't like backpedaling and having to do pass protection and everything like that. Right. Establish the run, and your running backs hold on to the freaking football.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
The recipe for success has not changed, Corey. It has not changed. It has not changed. And I think you're right. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. Just keep it simple, stupid. Just do stuff that's going to win ugly. Because at the end of the day, ain't nobody going to say, wow, that 9-6 record or that 9-3 record that was kind of ugly.
No. Nobody gonna say that. Exactly. And before we wrap up here, I wanted to kind of put a bow on this. Lou Holder, you can hear him Wednesdays, right? It's typically Wednesdays. You do things that make you go, and it's actually on the Odyssey app now that you can go. And I said, I knew this. I said, this seems like because when we met in Richmond, you were like, well, what do you want the question to be, Corey?
Hey, listen, hold on. You never came with me with another question.
I know. I was just like, this dude is an educator. I was like, this dude is an educator because the way he just went about it. And I said, and then when I found out, I said, Professor Lou, that's why I call you Dr. Lou Holder now, is because I said, yep, that's exactly what it is.
I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. I teach at Prince George's Community College and at Bishop McNamara High School. I'm an educator. And the thing about that show, why I love that show, not only because it's brought me to people like you and so many others. Yeah. I just like the fact that I'm one age group. Travis is another age group. And Anthony is another age group. And we're all able to see sports through the eyes of our age group, which is really, really cool because it's rare that you have so many different philosophies and different ways of thinking at it. So I enjoy it. Yeah, every Wednesday at 10 o'clock, he has me on there. I love hip hop music. And
yes, you do.
I always bring in some hip hop and some R&B, and then we get at it with topics, and it seems that people enjoy it because people are texting and using social media, and they really seem to enjoy the segment because I make people think.
You do all the time.
Yeah.
And one last thing, favorite moment you've covered this team in, or favorite moment and favorite person you've covered with the old football team, former Redskins.
So that I've covered, or
guy you've talked with and interviewed, or person, and then what's been your favorite moment?
So there's been a couple favorite people. Obviously Sean, because I knew Sean on a different level. He real quick story. I saw Pedro and both Jackies at the when they retired his number, and Pedro said to me, he said, Lou, Sean trusted you. He didn't trust a lot of people in the media, but he trusted you. And it almost brought me to tears because I know how special that was, because Sean did not like talking to the media. So a favorite person to interview when I actually did, because of it wasn't that often. It was very rare with Sean, but there was a couple other people that I really, really connected with. Ronaldo Wynn was another one. Philip Daniels was another one. I liked really talking. Brian Clark was another one. I really liked talking to all of those guys that I covered. Getting to see Daryl Green's last year was great for me. That run that I was talking to you about, where they went on that run, that was one of the magical moments for me to see that, because this team was down and out. And they put it together. They put on that white on white and they rolled there. But I guess my favorite moment, two of my favorite moments were against the Dallas Cowboys. One was Santana and those two bombs from Mark Brunell. I had already written my story. I was on my way to the live truck. And by the time I got down on the field, they had scored 2 touchdowns, and it was unbelievable. They didn't do anything the entire game. And the 2 bombs over Roy Williams, with Santana, he hated him. And for that to happen, and Chief Z was at the last one. He went up and hugged Chief Z. I mean, it was great. So that's one memory. And then that block kick by Troy Vincent, that Sean ran, and the face mask gave them just enough yards that Nick Novak was able to kick that. So those were 2 things I will never forget, because it was just, one, it was against Dallas, and 2, they were just things that those were things that make you go,
Go. It make you say go home and do a whole lot of other things.
Yeah.
I know you're a big Joe Buck and Troy Aikman fan.
See, there you go. You're trying to get to me.
Every time I watch that Nick Novak kick, and it just sends chills up my spine when Joe Buck grudgingly says, "Good, Redskins win." I fell asleep. I always tell people this. I was a freshman in high school, and I fell asleep on the couch at halftime. I think Jose Cortez was the kicker for Dallas, and it was like 13-9. I went to sleep. Got up about
which one that game?
The bombs.
Oh, the
bomb.
Santana
bomb. Yeah. The Santana bomb. No, that was in the middle of the day. I couldn't go to sleep. We would come home from church after that one. And I got up, and I was like, I turned on NFL Network because it's ABC had turned off, and I look, and I'm like, why is Clinton Portis dumping Gatorade on Joe Gibbs, and we lost? And then I sat there for a second. I was like, oh, I said, Mom. I went in the room. I woke. I said, Mom. I said, they won. She said, what? He said, we won. I said, we won. She's like, no, they did. I said, go watch these highlights. Come watch these highlights. I said, that guy won it before Rod Gardner was drafted. Santana Moss. That guy, look at him go. And 89, he when he was 83 in New York, he's always been my favorite though. But Lou, this has been a blast.
Oh man, we got to do this more. I would love to do this more. This was great.
Absolutely. And you are always welcome here. And I look forward to hearing you hopefully next Wednesday. And as always, you guys can check him out. Travis Thomas Experience, 10 a.m. Wednesdays. You can follow him on Twitter at HolderSports. And as always, y'all, we keep the same energy. We slap a couple of tables every while, and we outlast the bastards together. And we're going and hey, don't give up until the miracle happens, y'all. But I'm Sanchez 405 for this man, the GOAT in DC, one of the GOATs in DC sports. Grew up watching George Michael and Lou Holder, all these guys. This is one of my favorite guys right here. Him and you and Chick. So
Thank you.
Love, peace, and hell. Till the next time, y'all. We out.